All right, and we're back, and everybody's had a chance to look up their light wave and prepare some information for us. So let's go around the room. Let's start with, I'll just draw one. Radio waves. Okay, so we're going to start with radio waves. Who can tell us a pro about radio waves, something useful about them? Okay? All right, so yeah, you go first. All right. Yep, so that is correct. Radio waves are used to carry radio signals and also cell phone conversations. All right. Who can tell us a drawback to radio waves? Yeah, they're not super powerful. They don't have as much energy, and so they sometimes can get blocked by things easily, like the walls of your house, or if you're in the mountains and your cell phone's not working, then those waves are unable to get there. Yep, that's right. Okay, anybody got something interesting about radio waves they could tell us? A third person. Okay, yeah. Yeah, radio waves are really long. All right, so can anybody tell us, like, what's the longest radio wavelength? Miles, yeah, the wavelength can be miles long. That's exactly right. Which is, we don't really think about waves as being that long, but they certainly can be. All right, that's great. So let me just tell you a little something about radio waves that you might not know. All right, so we have a cell phone, right? And a cell phone uses what kind of waves? Sound, sure, right. So a cell phone is going to use sound waves. Wait, so if my cell phone is using sound waves and I want to call my mom, well, can I just use sound waves like my voice? Can I just yell for her? Mom! No. Yeah, no response. So I do talk into my phone and I hear things come out of my phone, so clearly there's some sound waves involved. But any idea why I can't just yell? Yeah, it won't go far enough, but how does a cell phone help? It's a speaker? It's an idea. It makes things louder. Yeah, but if it's a speaker and it just makes my voice louder, then wouldn't all of our cell phones just be super, super loud? In fact, wouldn't we hear everybody's cell phone conversation going over our head if it were all sound waves? That's because it's not sound waves, it's light waves. So what is the job of a phone? So I'm gonna call my mom. Sometimes I really do call my mom during this part, like in the middle of class. She's used to it. Okay, so if I call my mom and I'm talking into the phone, these are definitely sound waves going into my phone, but the job of the phone is to turn it into light waves and send it out. And it sends those light waves out to a tower, and maybe another tower, and maybe another one, depending on how far apart we are. And then that tower sends it back to my mom's cell phone, and it turns those light waves back into sound. That's the job of this very expensive device, is to turn sound into light and then turn that light back into sound, okay? Also, light waves travel really fast. That's why I can feel like I'm in the same room with her talking to her, because those light waves travel faster than sound waves. All right, so that is one really good use of radio waves, but they aren't super powerful. They don't have as much energy as some other waves, and so they do get blocked by things. All right, let's have somebody demonstrate what they can tell us about microwaves. Okay. All right, so microwaves are, they cook our food, yeah. So when you turn on your microwave oven, those light waves hit the molecules inside, yeah, and that heats them up, makes them vibrate. Vibration of molecules is heat, okay, and it heats your food, absolutely. Limits to microwaves? Anybody? Yeah, again, not super powerful, but that's why we can have them in our house, just right there in the kitchen, okay? You wouldn't want anything super dangerous in there, okay? All right, interesting things about microwaves. Anybody notice, look up when the first microwaves were used in a house? All right, let's see if we get to infrared. All right, who has something they can tell us about infrared? Yeah, there are special cameras that you can get, and those cameras use infrared, like to help firemen see into a building to see where the heat has built up before they open any doors or windows. Yeah, absolutely, can save lives. Oh, you have a picture of Yeah, you can show us that picture of a infrared image that you found. In fact, I should have had that pulled up and ready, but that's really cool. Let's see if I can find one really fast. So let's say in the middle of your video you realize you don't have what you need. Well, you can pause it and go get it, or you can do this. It's no big deal. So just, if I were in my class and I wanted to pull up one of these images, I would just let my class wait while I found it. Yep, still no internet in my house, so we will not be doing that. But I will try to upload one later. Okay, so maybe in my classroom there's an internet problem, but I'll have to show you guys that picture later. All right, so infrared, so it can be useful, helping firemen. Snakes can see infrared, that's really cool. Problems with infrared? Yeah, aren't really too many problems. I don't know of any difficulties they cause. Infrared waves can burn you if they're super warm. You can, you know, I mean, that's how we, the heat lights that they use at like a restaurant might have those waves, and you really could burn yourself with it. All right. All right, so visible light was in the middle, so a little pause for the beauty of visible light, which is everything we see. All right, moving on, let's talk about ultraviolet. All right, who researched ultraviolet lights? Okay, so UV is good in that we can use it to sterilize things. It can kill germs, so that's super handy. UV light comes from the sun, that is true. UV light can be used to turn UV beads a different color, so just like a demonstration of, and if I use my purple laser, there's just enough energy. It doesn't do it as well as the sun does, but you can see that it turns my UV beads. In fact, I'm going to go hold this out the window for just a second and come back and show you what UV does. So it's kind of a cloudy day, but it's still managed to, it's worn off a little bit in the time it took me to run outside and come back. But you can see that it made some of them turn, but it didn't last as long as I needed it to come show you. All right. Okay, so problems with UV. Yes, UV light can cause skin cancer. Yeah, absolutely. It can get in there, and just the energy of those waves can damage cells. And so you definitely want to wear sunscreen. Because skin does not do well with UV light, even though we can find it helpful in sterilizing things sometimes. In fact, true story, if you ever have something that you need to kill the germs on, it smells bad, there's bacteria growing in it, like aperitivas, okay, nasty, smelly, put them out in the sun and let the UV light hit them for a day or so, and it will kill those germs and they won't smell anymore. So you don't really need any of the fancy sprays and whatnot. You can just put those things out and the UV light will kill those germs. So just a little helpful tip here in class today. All right, let's see what we got to. X-rays. Okay, who can tell us something about X-rays? All right, so again, medical uses. Well, that's a good question. Okay, so we get X-rays like once a year at the dentist. Is that a problem? Well, X-raying teeth once a year to look for cavities is medically recommended at this point. So that means that we think that it is safe enough once a year to get those. And since there's not a lot of flesh or skin in between, it's a fairly low level X-ray, not the higher end energy, but a little bit lower. So that is deemed to be safe. And obviously if you have a broken bone or something, then the medical necessity of having that checked out and determining if it's broken or fractured is better for your health than the X-rays are harmful. But I will tell you a story about when X-rays first were in use. They used to have X-ray machines in shoe stores. And you would walk in and put your foot in the X-ray machine and have your foot X-rayed to look at the size of your feet. They used it sort of as a sizing thing. And then eventually realized that that was not very safe. And so they took the X-ray machines out of shoe stores. But it was something that for a while was like a novelty and everybody did it. Well, yeah, so that's a good question. So when we talk about radio waves and using them for cell phones, and then we've read articles, maybe cell phones are hazardous, like having those waves that close to your head. But we do have to remember, look how long that wavelength is, and look how much shorter this one is. And so there is a big difference, that not all light waves are made the same, which is what we're learning about today, right? But that was a great question, because sometimes we do find that things were more hazardous than we thought they were. Okay, pausing. This is where your students are going to bring up smoking. They're going to bring up seat belts, all kinds of stuff. And if you have time in class, sometimes it's good to talk about those things that we didn't know and now we know. But, okay, back to the lesson. All right, so good things about X-rays. Okay, right, absolutely, using them to diagnose problems. And we also have other technology now that we can use to diagnose things like ultrasound, which is sound waves, not even light, or MRIs, or trying to think of the other one. Can't think right now. But so we have other ways that are less hazardous than X-rays, but we still do use X-rays frequently to look inside rather than cut somebody open to see what's going wrong, because that's clearly less hazardous than doing just a sort of a surgery to figure out if something's broken. All right, X-rays can also be used to sterilize things, yeah. But too many of them can be harmful. It can cause cancer because, again, that energy running through those cells can be bad for them if you take too many. So that's why if you are an X-ray technician, you have to wear a badge that measures how many X-rays you have been exposed to. And you also have to wear lead aprons and lead gloves or stand behind a wall when you do X-rays. Yeah, all right. And then our last one, gamma rays. All right, good and bad. Yeah, so gamma ray knife, that's a new surgical technique that's being used to treat cancer, where they can really zap cancer cells with these very close together, very small, intense, high energy waves to kill cancer cells. Because, like we said, waves with this much energy can be damaging to cells, but cancer cells are actually the ones we want to get rid of. So even though they can cause cancer, they can also help destroy cancer. It's really, really interesting. Did anybody look up how long these wavelengths are? Oh yeah, way, way too small for us to see the difference. Even if we could see them, we wouldn't be able to see that small, like, smaller than cells, very tiny. All right. Okay, and we're about to be out of time, so we're gonna stop this video and do a part 3.